Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Shemo Polot here. So I've been doing a lot of trainings with a bunch of companies, and I realized that there's a special feature in Excel which is very fundamental to using Excel that most people don't use, and that is special Excel tables in Excel. If you use Excel tables, you're able to automate a lot of the calculations in your data, as well as allow a bunch of your information to update automatically. So that's what I'm going to do today. I thought it was an obvious thing, but apparently it is not. So today I'm just going to handle 3 specific cases in which tables can be useful to you. The first one will be if you're just doing basic information management in your business. The second would be updating data validation lists. And the third will be using pivot tables. Let's get started. Okay, so hypothetically speaking, you are collecting a bunch of information in your business. I have the sales here and I have the expenses here. This is just very basic. You can customize it to look whatever makes sense for your business, but I've combined them in the same sheet. You might have sales in one sheet and expenses on an entirely different sheet. It's really up to you. But yeah, so what I want to do is show you. So the first thing is that, let me just remove this really quickly so you can see. So you would have item, quantity, unit, price, amount. And I added a column here for staff to illustrate the data validation part, but we'll get to that in a second, okay? And so the average person would do this to find the total amount spent on oranges, and then copy this down like so, okay? And then if they wanted to find the total, they would probably come here and just find the sum this way, okay? You can also just use Alt and equal sign, and that will help you get the sum automatically, okay? But anyway, so if you use special Excel tables, it can make this process a lot faster. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete these amounts really quickly, and I'm going to click anywhere inside the data. Let me first remove that because it's going to create some confusion, I'm sure. Hit Control T or Command T on your Mac. Hit enter. Okay, and so now it's in a special Excel table format. If you don't like these colors, you can change the colors up here on the table menu. There's tons of options, okay, but I'm just going to leave it in the default like this just so it stands out. So now we can find the amount by doing the same thing, quantity times unit price, and press enter. When you press enter, Excel automatically calculates all the values in the cell that follow the same logic, okay? And now that's one thing that makes it a lot more valuable to use tables instead of just a regular range. The other thing is that if you add something, an item that you sell to the table, Excel performs the calculation automatically, as you can see there. Now, if we wanted to find the grand total of sales, instead of entering that here, because again you may be adding items to these rows, we enter it right here, for example, and we use the sum function, and then you just hover the cursor over the amount column, which is where you want to get all the values, and then you just hover till the arrow turns black and faces upside down like that. Then you click, and what you're telling Excel is I want you to select all the values in this column, both now and in the future, and add them up. Okay, so then we press enter. And this is what our grand sales total is. Okay, now the beauty about this is if you add another item to this total will update automatically, but the grand total updates automatically. Okay, as this column gets bigger, these totals update automatically. Okay, and the same thing applies to the sales column. Okay, so if I add some other value here, fuel 35,000, this value in here updates automatically as well. Okay, I'm just going to remove that, but yeah, so that's the first case scenario in which the tables are really useful. Calculations happen a lot faster. Calculations can also be updated automatically. Okay, so now what if we wanted to calculate the gross profit? Okay, so we could put a cell cell here for gross profit. Okay, and we say we get the gross profit by getting the total income minus total expenses. I just fix both of those with F1 just so it doesn't get out of that column, and there you have it. Okay, now again, this gross profit value will update whenever you add values both here and here, and when these values change, it will update automatically. You can just do a quick, just notice the figures in there, 530. Okay, if I add 600,000 here, you see this goes up to 1 million, this changes to that, and so on and so forth. Okay, I'm just going to remove that just because it's going to be a bit shabby, but that's just to illustrate how valuable that is. So that's the first application in which tables are absolutely useful, and that applies to any kind of tables you make. More often than not, you should probably have the tables in a special Excel table format. Okay, the next thing I want to show you is when you're trying to create validation lists and add them to your table, and the advantage of using tables. Okay, so if we wanted to add a column for the staff member that made the specific sale, okay, now I'm looking in here and I already put validation, so I'm just going to go in to data validation and just clear all of them so we can start afresh. Okay, so now if I want to add data validations throughout this entire column, okay, so what I have to do is just come here again over the staff column, click there, telling Excel I want it to select all the entries within that column. I go to data validation. In the allow drop-down list, I go to list. Okay, then my source, what you can do is I just created a list of staff members in a separate sheet. Again, this list could be anywhere in your workbook. It doesn't matter where it is, as long as you fetch the items. Excel will do what you need to do. Okay, so what I'm going to tell Excel is I want you to select the staff members throughout this range. Now, if you have fixed staff members, then you just select that range of staff members. Okay, but what if you have staff members that could increase over time? Okay, then I would recommend you put a range instead. Let's say A2 to let's say 100. I don't know if you're planning on having 100 staff members in the future, but power to you. But yeah, so then we just press OK. Okay, and now what happens is our drop-down list appears throughout this column. Okay, and again, if you add another item, let's say bread, this person sells everything in the world, it appears. If you add bread, the drop-down list will also appear there, as you can see. And because we selected that range from our drop-down list, if we add values, if we employ a new staff member, okay, and add it to that range, these drop-down lists should update automatically, and we can see Greg has been added there. Okay, so that is the second thing. The tables would update automatically with the validations. As long as you keep updating your validation lists, the validations will update in the table as well. Okay, the third thing is pivot tables. If you haven't used pivot tables before, I'm sorry, maybe I'll do a video on that separately, but I want to show you how converting the data into special Excel tables makes your pivot tables and your summaries from pivot tables a lot easier. Okay, so here is our main data set. What we are looking at, let me just make this a bit bigger so you can see clearly. What we're looking at, this is a company that sells furniture, and these are the different columns. It has a salesperson all the way to net profit and all the different kinds of furniture that they sell. Okay, now I want to create a summary of total sales. Here's the total sales column by area. This is how pivot tables are really valuable. They're valuable for summarizing unsummarized information. Okay, so when you want to create a pivot table, the first thing that you do is check and see if there are no empty rows within your table. You do that by clicking in the corner at the top and hitting Control and the downward arrow. Control down, what it will do, it will go until the next empty space, and if there's an empty space in between your data, it will stop there. If there isn't, it will go all the way to the end, which it does in this case. It goes all the way to 51. Okay, we go back up, and once we know that there are no empty spaces, another thing that you want to maybe check for pivot tables is you want to make sure that all your columns have unique names. Excel will still give you a pivot table even if your columns have the same names, but you don't want to do that because the summaries will be very confusing, and I'll explain that in a bit. But yeah, so once those two things are done, the next thing to do is to convert this data into a special Excel table. Again, you just do Control T, press OK, and now the data is in a special Excel table. So then I want to insert a pivot table that shows me the total sales by area. To do that, I go up to Insert, I go to Pivot Table, I leave everything checked as it is, New Worksheet, I click OK. Excel opens a new worksheet with a pivot table fields menu on the right. And now what I want is total sales. Again, this is not a crash course on pivot tables. If you haven't done them before, we can have an entire video dedicated to that. But right now, I just want to get total sales by area. So I get area, I drop it down to rows, I get total sales, and I drag it down to values. Okay, so now here's our quick summary. And this is why pivot tables are so beautiful, because something that would take you hours can take you seconds if you know how to use them. Okay, so now the beauty of having our data in a special Excel table format is that if we edit the original data set, which is dangerous business unless you know what you're doing, I just want to come down here and add an additional area, and let me add southwest. Okay, if I add southwest, the table automatically updates to include southwest region, and at the same time you come and click inside your pivot table, you go up to pivot table analyze, you click refresh, and once you click refresh, the new region you added will appear. And so what that means is every time you add data to the original data set, the pivot table will update automatically. So whatever summaries you make will update automatically as well. And if, hypothetically speaking, we had created a pivot chart from this summary data, Southwest region would be added to that chart as well automatically. Pivot tables are a precursor to creating dashboards, and so it all begins with the special Excel tables. If those tables are created correctly, then your pivot table will update automatically, your graphs will update automatically, and your dashboard will update automatically. So, really useful, okay? So those are 3 different ways that special Excel tables are valuable. The first one was just for general information management. The second one was for updating validation lists. The third one was for updating pivot tables and summaries that come from tables. Okay, so if you are not using special Excel tables, you need to start using them as soon as possible. Otherwise, that's where we'll stop for this week. Before we go, I want to talk about, I'm doing a giveaway because I need more followers so I can monetize. And so I am giving away a free pair of AirPods. They're brand new. I promise I haven't opened them. Completely brand new. Right now, to enter the competition, all you have to do is follow me on Instagram and subscribe to my YouTube, and you will instantly enter the competition to win this pair of AirPods. I'll probably give more information as time goes on, but right now it's as simple as that. This competition is going to be running for the next month or so. So yeah, make sure you're following me, and then I'll probably do a live where I get to pick the winner, so we can find out who gets this pair of AirPods. So hit that subscribe button. Otherwise, that's it for this week. Don't forget to like, share, comment with anyone that makes sense. Subscribe to the channel. Otherwise, see you next time. Bye-bye.